Are you ready to have a good time with a couple of fun guys? Are you a fan of the Star Wars universe? Have you seen Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, The Marshal? If the answers are yes, yes, and no, you may want to consider if this show is for you right now. There will be spoilers, and we'd hate to ruin anything. So there's your warning, buddy.
Welcome back, Mando.
I am IG-11. I am this child's nurse droid and require that you remind him to me immediately.
He said you were the best in the parsec.
I have spoken. This is the way.
Welcome, Hail Ming listeners, to the first of a new subset of the Hail Ming Power Hour pantheon that is Hail Ming Power Hour presents This is the Way.
This is the way.
Where Rick and I, that's right, Rick and I go through and talk about one of our new favorite things in the world. You know what our new favorite thing in the world is, Rick?
Ice cream sandwiches.
Ice cream sandwiches and...
Ice cream sandwiches?
That's right, The Mandalorian. The new Disney Plus show where, Jon Favreau wanted to make a show about Boba Fett, and instead he got this, and I think it was an improvement.
Yeah, it's, we keep having these conversations about what we want to do next on Hail Ming, and the first episode of Season 2 dropped, and we haven't stopped talking about it yet, so we said, hey, here's a great idea. Why don't we just do a running, series for The Mandalorian? But the only problem is the first season's already passed, but we're really excited about what we're seeing right now. So what we want to do is kind of pick up currently and do Season 2. And when we get to end of Season 2, we'll go back and recap Season 1. Is that right, Danny?
Sure. Yeah, we absolutely can do that. And it was just a matter of we wanted to strike while the iron was hot. We missed the opportunity to jump in and do a week-to-week commentary on the first season. So, let's not miss it again. If you guys enjoy our reviews on stuff, then we'll try and make it entertaining to talk about Season 2 and all of the beauty and the love that has been put into this sci-fi epic.
Absolutely. And also, keep in mind, now... we love Star Wars. We love some Star Wars, boy. But we are not like certified masters of knowing everything about Star Wars. I mean, we know quite a bit, but no, we're not going to sit here and fool you guys, or you guys get mad at us thinking you guys should know all this. Well, we may know some people's names. We may not know some people's names. We love the movies, and we really are loving this series so far. So don't get it in your head that we are total professionals of Star Wars everything, because we're not. But we still do know some stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you want cred, I saw the first one in the theater 54 times with my mom when I was a kid. I love all three of the original movies. I was pretty stoked about the prequels. Like they haven't aged as well, but I like the three later movies, and I've seen all the ones that have come out. I read several of the books. I ran a role-playing game for a bunch of my friends. I mean, I've done a bunch of stuff, and I know a lot of trivia. But, man, I mean, I can't keep up with it. There's a lot of stuff I just don't know.
Yeah, it's too big, and it's kind of like the comic book thing you talked about in one of our very first episodes, where it's hard to keep up with what's canon and what's not anymore because you get so many side stories that changes the outcomes of things, and yeah, it gets to be a jumbled mess at times. So, folks, feel free, if you're listening and we miss stuff and you want to bring it to our attention, feel free to jump on Facebook and say, hey, guys, you forgot this, and we'll say, okay, thanks, and we'll ignore it and go on our way.
That's kind of how it goes.
That's kind of how we do everything with this show. But we just are, I am really excited about where this series is going. And I feel like Danny is the same. And here we are, man. We're at the first episode of season 2.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about how season 1 was incredibly rewarding, and the way that they put it together. You know, I could talk about that, but that's not what we're doing right now. So, you know,
right.
As far as season 2 goes, I think we'll start off with that, and then we can talk about how this series has been a joy from beginning to end.
Yep. So if you've seen season 1 and you're caught up with us, season 2 starts off with a little recap of what what did happen in season 1. But we kind of get a shot of the Mandalorian, and he's basically going into a fight arena where there's some gambling going on, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's some kind of a seedy place that has graffiti on the walls that indicate that maybe they've just recently been liberated from some Imperial entanglements. And, there's a fight going on. Who's fighting in that fight?
Well, all I hear is people going, Kumite, Kumite.
Kumite, Kumite. Jackson!
There we go. We already blew it. It's a Hail Ming episode, folks.
Tune in for our Bloodsport episode coming up in, 3 seconds. No, but I want to point out that these are the skinny-leggedest Gamorreans I've ever seen.
Yeah, these Gamorrean guards are lacking some buff, if that's the right word.
Well, I mean, they got big old shoulders and stuff, but they got these spindly little legs, and I guess it's just because the Gamorrean guards in Jabba's palace were mostly puppets, so they were wearing big fat suits or whatever. These guys, they're fighting, but man, it just at the little fur loincloths they've got and on down, they've got these spindly little legs, but it's okay. They're still whacking each other with these giant axes that have some kind of force fields to them. They're cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah, very cool. But Mandalorian is walking in, and he's looking for somebody in particular, and he's looking for a guy named Gor Koresh.
Ooh.
Which is voiced. Oh, you surprised I knew the name?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
It's Gor Koresh, which is voiced by John Leguizamo.
Yeah, I read that. I and on the rewatch, I was kind of listening for it, and man, I couldn't pick out his voice. Guy's a voice chameleon.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what got him a lot of the jobs he got, right? The thing about this, to me, I'd like to do a little research on this, but I swear that they modeled this one-eyed Cyclops dude after Ernest Borgnine, because it looks like his character from Escape from New York sitting there with just one eye.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, he's got the jowls for it for sure.
Yeah, and he's there to get some information from the guy because he's trying to find another Mandalorian.
Yeah. He's looking for more of his kind to. He figures they'll help him to in his quest.
And lo and behold, Gor Koresh is got other ideas. So even though he's there and it's some sort of trade that they think is going on for the information, things get a little out of hand. And then just out of nowhere, Gor Koresh jumps up and shoots one of the Gamorrean fighters in the ring.
Yeah, he's like, I've got different plans. And he just shoots a dude, man.
Everybody takes off running. And then you got Koresh's group that are his gang or whatever, and they grabbed a Mandalorian. They're kind of holding there. But do you think that's really going to keep the Mando in his location for very long?
No, because Mando takes out that 3-pointed staff, and he throws it across the room, and he hits that mystic, and he goes, "Rah!" and he goes into the ground. Oh wait, no, that's a different Cyclops. That's a different movie.
No, man, he releases the whistling birds on them, man. And all those little missiles come out and start popping everybody.
And those things are getting some play, since he got him in the third episode or whatever. Like,
it's a great weapon, man. It's kind of like the Death Blossom. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it only hits your enemies. It doesn't. Well, of course, it might not just hit your enemies, because right before that, the child. Right, if we're going to be in well, don't call him Baby Yoda. I mean, I get it. Yeah. I get it. The child, pushes a button and closes up his little crib because he's seen this before. He knows what's about to go down.
I don't want those coming here and hitting me.
That's right. My big old baby black eyes are going to be closed, and I'm going to sleep.
But yeah, so the Mando just mops the floor with everybody and then grabs Gor Koresh and takes him outside. Actually, Gor's running away, and he lassos his legs, right, and then hoists him up in the air by his feet.
Yeah, and on this planet there are these some kind of there are some kind of creatures in the dark, and he definitely drops. He definitely drops the guy into the darkness so that those creatures will come out and take him. And there's the whole foreshadowing where he says, "Well, I won't kill you." You're like, "Oh,
you
what's
won't
he
die
gonna
from
do?"
my hands. Yeah, right. It's one of those commando things, right? Hey, you said you'd kill me last. I lied.
Yeah,
kind of deal. But he gets the information that he's wanting from Gor Koresh, where he's got him hung up. And finds out, guess where we're going, folks? That's right back to Tatooine.
Back where it all started.
Can't get enough of this place, right?
I mean, from here, Luke talk about it. It would seem to be kind of like a place where nothing goes down, but that doesn't check out because everything goes down on Tatooine.
every movie ends up there. So, but he's looking for a place called Mos Pelgo, right?
Yep.
So a little rundown, old-timey mining town or whatever. So here we go. We're flying back to Tatooine, and we land back at the old repair shop, mechanic shop, landing strip that Motto runs.
Right. Which you might remember from the first season. Amy Sedaris plays her, and
yes,
she's great. Strangers with Candy, and she was on a couple of episodes of SVU or something. But other than that, she's accomplished, and she's just as entertaining, man. She's great.
And this is where they try to sneak little pieces of some humor in here with the little repair droids running around, getting their face stuck on a vacuum cleaner, all that kind of stuff. I will say one thing that I love about what this series does is it is able to take the stuff that we know and love from the original trilogy and then take stuff from the prequels and kind of mesh them together and make it all work.
Yeah.
And it's done very well. And this is one of those examples because Mando doesn't really like the little worker droids, but he kind of gives them the go-ahead and kind of give the ship a once-over because it's been roughed up a little bit. And, they're back there doing their goofy things like they did in Episode 1 and, getting hit in the head and knocked down flat and all that kind of goofy stuff. But we also get the return of R5-D4.
That's right. And as soon as they make a point, when this R2 unit, I guess it's an R2 unit. Maybe only R2 is an R2 unit. But when this astromech droid shows up, it's red, and you're like, oh, it's like that. But then if you look in the top panel, you see where the motivator popped out, and it sprayed juice all over the top, and it's still stained on the top of that droid. And I'm like, I know where that came from, and it's still on Tatooine.
You said juice.
Droid juice,
sprayed
man.
Juice all over the
motivator. Droid juice is the grossest juice.
Kids, don't forget every morning to drink your droid juice.
Hey man, I'm motivated to drink my motivator droid juice. I mean, I remember, I remember Luke saying, "Oh Ben, this one's got a bad motivator."
Hey, what are you trying to pull here?
Exactly, and it brings you back like that. To your point, exactly. It's just a small thing, but it's immediately recognizable because you've seen it 100 times. You know, it's very faithful to the original. Of course, they get in there and where is it? She that tells him how to get to Mos Pelego?
In a way, because she gets the R5 to bring up that really crappy visual,
right?
To show him, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't see anything." Well, it used to be there. So he just kind of heads out that direction. So she I don't know if she just points and that's the direction he goes, but he arrives there and it turns into straight up old time Western high noon dude riding in on his horse, even though he's on a speeder.
Yep.
And he's in like low gear and just creeping by, and it's almost to the point to where you see people they see him and they kind of hide back in the shadows when he passes by. We don't like strangers around here, that kind of thing.
It's absolutely a Wild West kind of feel,
Yes.
you know, and even to the point where he parks his swoop bike and then he jumps off and goes into the nearest saloon.
Yeah. And did you notice that the bartender is like a Weequay?
Yeah.
I don't know what version of species they are, but I was like, and that's whatever Weequay was.
Right. There were a bunch of them that worked for Jabba, and yeah, I think he calls him Weequay, but I think that's the name of the alien race.
Maybe the species.
So maybe he's just a weak like my name is Danny Human Being Bennett, so people just say, "Hey, human being," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's fine, it's all good."
Oh. But yeah, this town has been through it, man, because like I said, it's a very small, poor community that lives off of mining. And Mando walks into this bar, and he asks the bartender, "Have you seen anybody that looks like me?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a guy around here who looks like you." He's like, "You know where I can find him?" He said, "Well, you can ask him yourself." And we turn around and look at the door, and in walks a very familiar-looking figure.
That's right, and it's a great backlit picture of him coming through the doorway, and it's somebody wearing that ubiquitous Boba Fett armor, with the greens and the yellow stripe and man, it's just awesome. It's a great intro,
yep. And it's even got the dent in the helmet, that kind of signifies, yep, that's Boba Fett's for sure, and. Wow, I mean, this is that thing where when the first words "The Mandalorian" was coming out, this is kind of what we were hoping for, of it being a Boba Fett show, which is kind of how it was originally pushed, I think. Not that I'm saying anything negative about it, but that's kind of the thoughts that first come to your mind was they're going to do a Boba Fett show. But here he is. I mean, here's at least we think him at the time, and. The guy comes in, sits down at a table, and asks the Mandalorian to come have a drink with him. Then he takes his helmet off and sets it down, so that automatically lets the Mandalorian know that this guy is not a Mandalorian, and ends up being a guy that they call the Marshal of the town.
Cobb Vanth. That's right.
At this point, Mando tells him, "Hey, you need to take that armor off and let me have it right now."
There's a great build up to that where the Marshal says, "Hey, give us some spotchka." Is that what the stuff they all drink? He's give us some spotchka, and you're like, "What is he gonna drink? You can't take off that helmet. Is this Boba Fett?" There's this long and he walks over and sits down, and then from the back they just show him set the helmet down on the table, so he took it off, but they don't show him for a long minute, and then they pan back and it's Timothy Oliphant, who's great. But we can all agree that he's Peter Gallagher with less eyebrows, right? I mean, he really is.
Right.
But yeah, he's great. And he's like, well, I guess knowing what he knows about Mandalorians, he knows that it's not going to go well that he's got the armor, and it doesn't.
Right. And he's your typical small town sheriff, marshal guy that puts all the pieces together. Well, when I saw you coming in here, I knew this wasn't going to be a good thing because I know how good you are at killing. But then I saw the little one over there, and then I thought, well, maybe not. So, he's good at that kind of banter back and forth of judging a person, based off of just what he's seeing before people get crazy and just pull out a gun and start shooting people, which ironically is kind of what it ends up turning into.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost have a shootout right there in the place because, again, of, hey, you've got this Mandalorian armor that should not be in your hands. And it doesn't really indicate if the Mandalorian knows who this armor belongs to, if he knows that it's Boba Fett stuff or not. It hasn't gotten that far into it yet.
Yeah,
but
I don't think...
Regardless...
I don't think he knows Boba Fett. He just knows it's Mandalorian armor. I could be wrong.
But they kind of have a little confrontation, and right when they're getting ready to draw and just do a showdown right there in the bar, you start hearing a big vibration, and the Marshal holds up his finger like, hold on just 1 second. And they go step outside, and you see off in the distance sand's flying up everywhere and a lot of rumbling. Then all of a sudden, it's like a freight train comes through the middle of the town, but it's underground.
Yeah, that's right. That's when the Mandalorian becomes Tremors, right? I mean, we can all agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm not even saying it in a bad way. I mean, who doesn't love Tremors? But
no.
But that's what it becomes. They're on Tatooine. If anybody remembers from A New Hope, when 3PO and R2 are running around there in the desert, there's a big old skeleton of a crate dragon, which has become the thing of lore.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. It's a giant crate dragon, and it's a looming doom for all the people that live here in this place. And so from that point on, they have to put their problems aside to overcome this greater enemy, which is, the crate dragon that's been, that's been killing livestock, right? It eats a bantha right there. Like, it just eats it. Jumps up out of the ground, eats a whole bantha. One bite.
Just grabs it and keeps on going. It don't even stop to chew.
That's right. So I mean, so at that point, now the Marshal and Mandalorian have something that is a common enemy. And he says, look, if you help me kill this thing, I'll just give you the armor back. But if it hangs around, then it's going to kill everybody here. So what do you say? And the Mandalorian, being a pretty good dude, is like, yeah, I go around doing good things for people because that's the way I'm written, and I'm going to do this. So they head off to do it together. And
this is another one of those examples of taking stuff from the older movies and the prequels and stuff, because they're riding side by side on these speeders, and Mando's own one,
Mandy,
that kind of looks like the one, Mandy. Hey, Mandy. He looks like a straight up...
I like men in movies, like Mandy.
He's driving the speeder, looks like it's from Return of the Jedi, and then you got the Marshal over here that looks like he's on one of those turbine ones from Episode 1, like they did in the race there.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a pod racer jet engine, yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
It's like a sidecar, too.
Yeah, it's an odd-looking thing, so... But... What's cool about it is we kind of get a flashback of what all happened in this little town beforehand. It's like when you get the story of the Empire failing, and then the mining collective just decides to come in and take over this town. I mean, like, instantly. How scared can you be of a company called, or the bad guys called the Mining Collective?
Well, they're pretty mean looking. They look kind of like the... They look kind of like the bad guys from The Force Awakens that show up on Han's ship. They got goggles and masks and skull caps, and they don't look human because they look like they're just coming in to lay waste to this town of regular villagers.
Yeah, and
I think that's the point. They're a new enemy.
And Marshal just kind of sneaks his way out, and while they're just in there blasting everybody in that bar, he runs out and for some reason reaches over in one of the vehicles that the mining collective is in and just grabs this. It looked like a minnow bucket, but it's full of some, what is it, silicax crystals?
Yeah, I think he calls it silicax crystals. So, like, just in preparation for this, you guys, I did actually do a little bit of, I Googled, Easter eggs from Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. And two of the things that I thought were fun was, when they're celebrating the end of the Empire, they're watching a hologram of the Death Star blowing up. It's the second Death Star. And the guy who did this video I was watching said, and so there's this little scrolling text around the bottom, that's in the language that they have all their signs in and stuff in the Star Wars universe. And he interpreted it, and it's actually the scrolling text from the beginning of Return of the Jedi. Yeah, right.
That's cool.
That's fun. That's fun. And the other thing was he said the Sarlacc crystal, I guess duffel or whatever it is, the container that he takes is actually it's the same container that one of the guys that was running away from Cloud City in Empire Strikes Back he's running and he's carrying this same container. So but to your credit, you remembered Sarlacc crystals. Usually I write down details like that, but instead I just kind of watch somebody else put them together for you.
Of course, that's I'm just like, I don't really. I mean, obviously they got to be some kind of value, or you wouldn't have took them. But if you're heading out of town, and you're in a desert, I don't know that crystals is your best answer.
Yeah, I thought that too. On rewatching, he says, I grabbed this thing and lucky me, it was full of Sarlacc crystals, and then I walked for 3 days without food or water. I think I would have dropped that damn thing full of Sarlacc crystals. I mean, like it's lucky for him he didn't, because it turns out they were useful, but I think I would have dropped that thing and tried to get faster to someplace that had food or water.
Well, he drops it all right in the hands of some Jawas, because they stop and pick him up, and this is where he finds the Boba Fett armor, right? So they open it up, the little container, they see the crystals, and they want them for themselves, and they're trying to give him all this other stuff, and he's like, nope, I want that. And I don't think he even knew what it was. He just knew it was some kind of armor.
Yeah, and I've got two things on this. I agree. He sees the armor. He's like, that looks about my size. Hand it over. But two, you got to give Jawas some credit. They could have just left him for dead and taken his stuff, right? But they didn't, because they're all about bartering. And I've always kind of thought that was cool that Jawas are like that. In the first season, Mando destroys a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because, he doesn't value them. But I think Jawas are cool. And the second is, I got to ask, man, how many sand crawlers do you think there are?
I don't know.
They're humongous, and it seems like they show up everywhere you want to be, and they were even on that planet where he got the child in that one.
Right.
That wasn't Tatooine.
Yeah.
So, Jawas have these humongous big, tanks that roll around in the desert, I guess on all these planets.
I'm even impressed that they even see him laying on the ground. I mean, how could something that big, see that, if you're that high up?
That's what they do, I guess.
They're scavengers. I mean, they're looking for stuff, so.
Yeah, so they must have some, stuff that's set to sense for life forms or something, if we want to be real technical about it.
Well, maybe it's those light bulb eyes.
About Jawas.
Maybe those light bulb eyes that they can see better than everybody else.
I love Jawas so much.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I mean, they're just so cool.
So that's kind of the backstory, and then he ends up going back into town with his new armor and kicking some butt, running the miners out of there. And there's one scene that I almost stood up and cheered, is when he's kicking all their butts.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, no, because it's one of those things we've all been waiting for, right? But yeah, the rest of the miners jump in their little machine. They're like, we got to get out of here. And they take off. And he waits till they get out of town a bit. And then he bends over, and the little scope
and the
comes
little
up over his
comes
eye.
Down.
Yeah, just like, and we die.
We die.
But yeah, he leans over, man, and he shoots that rocket off of his back and blows up the vehicle. And I looked at Becky when we were watching, and I said, I've waited probably 30 years to see that.
Man, anybody who had that like G.I. Joe sized Boba Fett figure, which I had, and the face fell off of it, like it just fell off of it. I know, right? And it just had this like blank face with holes in it where you were supposed to stick the face on, and it fell off. Anyway, but that rocket shot off. It had like a grappling hook or something, and it was so much fun just shooting that thing at people. It was so good. But
and then
the other thing is when the thing comes down, the noise it makes is the same as the targeting reticle from A New Hope. It makes that like that that same noise, which I'll probably end up throwing in whatever intros. So we'll hear it. You'll hear it. You'll know.
But yeah,
man, it was so good though. When I heard that, I was like, I know that sound.
Right.
So good.
And just the vision of that actually happening, you're kind of shortchanged because it's not Boba Fett doing it, but at the same time, you're like, I've always wanted to see this, and we finally get it. And my question about this, though, is when he got the armor, did it come with multiple rockets? Because where does he get another one at?
Maybe it's standardized somehow. It's like ammo for a gun, and it's like maybe they're rare, but he got a few. That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question that I'm not going to bother to ask, but I'm glad you asked it. Just like how many sand crawlers are there? It's like, it seems like they're all pretty damn big, and how many could there really feasibly be? But Jawas seem like they're everywhere. So, probably on every sand crawler, there's at least 5 of those rockets.
So anybody that's listening out there, if you know the magic of the reoccurring Boba Fett rockets, let us know, because we want to know.
I'm just going to throw this out there as a reason to watch The Mandalorian. It is like an homage to our regular show, and I'm going to say, dude's scarf.
Yeah.
Cobb Vanth, man, he's got this pashmina, this big old red scarf that's like so jaunty. I love it.
So they end up stopping out in the middle of nowhere. They're going to where the crate dragon is, where he says he knows where it lives. And on the way there, they stop because they either sense something or know something. And then these strange dog-like creatures come out like they're going to attack them with spikes on their backs and stuff, which are the dogs that belong to, from episode, 1, 2, 3, whichever one. They belong to the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders. And
I think they might first show those things in 3, but yeah.
I think that's right. I think it's the third one. But yeah, I mean, you got you got the Marshal over there, and he's kind of like getting his guard up, getting ready to shoot, and then Mando just stands up and makes this noise like, oh!
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does, just like
he
that.
Straight up makes some Tusken Raider noises.
Yeah. And and the dogs stop, and they start wagging their tails, and he's petting the dogs, and then you get a couple of Tusken Raiders coming out. And I do have a question about this, because this is the part to me it's almost a little cheesy, is the whole communication with the Sand People, because it's a combination of speaking Tusken and sign language. And I'm like, couldn't you just do one or the other?
Well, I think they wanted it to be a combination. And, because he does it in the first season, too. Like, when they run into the Tusken Raiders, he communicates with them using these hand signs. And I did read that that the people who were making these episodes, they actually enlisted somebody who was fluent in American Sign Language to kind of generate this Tusken language.
Right. Yeah, I kind of saw that too. But it's just that thing of, I mean, if they can understand each other with the guttural sounds they make, then why need the sign language? Or couldn't you just do the sign language and not have to grunt? I don't know.
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Maybe their language is somehow deficient, and without the context of the signs, it doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, we do it okay. I mean, I'm on a microphone. I can't see you right now.
Right. So, but again,
for all I know, you could be, giving me 2 birds and sticking your tongue out.
How did
which
you are
change,
seeing me? This is the way. Here's both of them right here.
This is the way. Both middle fingers, tongue out. This is the way.
And we have to admit, come on, I mean, the Tusken Raiders are pretty much the rednecks of the galaxy, so maybe they do require 2 levels of communication to make everything work. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think they established themselves as the rednecks of the universe when, Anakin was trying to like win a pod race, and they were hanging out on the butte over there,
shooting at him
with their rifles, and hooting and hollering about it too. They're trying to make them into a noble people or whatever in the new stuff, which that's cool. But yeah, they were always kind of assholes.
But through this conversation, which gets a little squirrely at times because of the communication barriers, and they're trying to do the thing where they try to give the Marshal something to drink, which I don't know, looks like a rotten papaya or something. And
yeah, it's like one of those puff balls you get in the woods, and you squeeze it, and like the smoke comes out, and it's spores. Yeah,
that's good. That's really good.
That's what it looked like. He sticks his thumbs in there,
Yeah, he decides not to drink it, and it kind of insults the Sand People, and they start up a little ruckus there, and then Mandalorian calms them down and says, look, we're all here for the same purpose, and they're going to try to collectively defeat the Crate Dragon, because Sand People hate Crate Dragons too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Crate Dragons are just jerks. They come and eat all your banthas.
Yeah.
And apparently banthas are really important to all these people, because, they really can't stand to have them eaten. I don't know what they do with them. I guess they're just pack mules. They carry around bombs and stuff.
Well, they're the only animal that will run in single file.
That's a good point. They need to train some of those little Mastiff dogs to carry stuff around.
Yeah. Yeah, they could do that.
Carry some stuff around, dog. Make yourself useful.
So they start laying out a game plan of how they're going to fight this dragon, and they notice that when they're looking at this, that they do this little scale project. They got a little skeleton that's supposed to be the dragon. They got like these little chocolate chips that they're putting on the ground to represent the people. Yeah. And he ends up throwing like a whole bunch more down there because of something that Mando says. And then the Marshal's like, so what does that mean? He's like, well, I just volunteered your whole community to come down here and sacrifice themselves to help us kill this dragon. And he never says, what?
Well, he knows he's pretty much by the short hairs at this point.
Yeah.
And so, at this point, they go back and they tell the people, hey, we're joining the Sand People. Are, what? Those guys are monsters. And they have that whole thing. Because, it's a Western, and you got to have belligerent villager people.
Yep. I love it, too, when he says, when Cobb says, he's like, that Crate Dragon keeps coming through here, wrecking our town, eating all of our livestock, and God forbid it gets into one of our schools. I'm going, wow, that's right, folks. The new Magnum 44 Crate Dragon. It eats through schools.
It eats through schools. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a school, but I guess they got children. Yeah, sure. It works. And I like two things in this whole thing. I like how the Mandalorian comes out and he is like, listen, the Sand People are barbaric, but they've said that if you help them out, then they won't draw a blaster on you until you want on them, and all they want is the carcass and its ichor. And I'm like, man, that's some awesome stuff, man. The carcass and the ichor. It's like, and it also, nobody in the village is like, why do they want the carcass? I guess because they assume they're, barbaric people. They're going to eat off the ribs or whatever. It's straight up Dragon Slayer at the end of this too, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we haven't got there yet.
No, not there. I'm just going to say, and then, there's this whole, like, the Sand People march into town and they're working together, and one of them drops a bomb and the guy's like, are you trying to blow us all up? And then,
what are you doing? That's an explosive there. Yeah.
And then Cobb, jumps in between them and he smooths it out. But this is probably my favorite line for the whole show. Right after he smooths it out, the villagers try to like at the dude's throat, and the sand person was about to to beat him into the ground. And Cobb says, "It's going to be great." He's so. I mean, it's just so much fun. Like how he's like, "Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be great." My hat's off.
So now you get this whole
the elephant.
The whole bunch. They're marching down to the pit where this creature lives, and come to find out, it is a abandoned Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
And Cobb even says there's no such thing as an abandoned Sarlacc pit. And that's when Mando says it is if the Sarlacc has been eaten. So, is the crate dragon a Sarlacc killer as well? Don't know.
I guess so.
Could be.
I think that was what it was intimating there. Was it the crate dragon took out the Sarlacc?
Sure. So, how about when they do the test, right? They lead the bantha out there, and one just goes, you don't. Nobody wants to be that guy, right? Hey, take that one down there and yell really loud, and then run back as fast as you can, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, we're a little out of order here, but I think that is a hilarious scene where the guy takes the bantha out there and it just ignores the bantha and just eats the dude.
Oh, they did that
good
earlier,
stuff,
didn't they?
Yeah,
did that earlier.
But, I mean, it's the same setup. This one they just put a bunch of bombs in the ground and they're like, we're gonna convince the crate dragon to go over this hole, and then they're gonna blow it when its belly. And the whole time you got a bantha that's all strapped up with bombs, and I think anybody watching knows what's gonna happen. But
Right. So, but they do this thing where they bury all the bombs in the ground, and they're going to try to get it to come out and blow it up underneath because they said the belly is the weak point. And again, let's send Larry, Curly, and Moe up to the mouth of the cave and just go, "Hey, dragon!" and take off running. Hey, you want a reason to watch this show? These freaking super-sized crossbows.
yeah, they got these arquebuses or something. They're like they got the four arms of the bow all bent back, and they're all wrapped in mummy cloth because that's what makes them sand people weapons, is that they're all wrapped up in mummy cloth. And then they've got them pointed at the mouth of this cave, like when this thing comes out, we're going to shoot it with these giant arrows, and that's not going to go wrong.
All systems go. Yeah, they're thinking they can shoot it, and they're going to have ropes tied to it, and we can all hold that dragon out and blow it up. And, it doesn't quite work, does it?
Think back to Return of the Jedi when the Ewoks tried to trip the ATST. And it's walking through the woods, and it's just dragging a bunch of Ewoks. I mean, that's basically what happens. This great dragon just dragging around a bunch of sand people.
Yep.
Is that
awesome.
that bad, sand people? Gotten Raiders.
I don't reckon. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
okay, good.
they've been called both. But you gotta admire the scene though, because the dragon comes out and they do try to blow it up, and it goes down in the ground, and then it just plays this great game of Where's Waldo, right? It just starts popping up all over. It's like, I'm over here. No, I'm not. I'm over here. It's like, how does something that big move that fast?
Well, and it shows up at like the top of the mountain, up at the like it's been in the ground like under this cave, and then it shows up on the top of the whole mountain that the cave's in. Like it just went down and just went all the way through all that rock. But anybody who's ever played a video game in the last 10 years knows what this is. This is the boss battle, right? I mean,
right.
You drove it across the bomb, and then you blew up the bomb, and then it shows up somewhere else, and it vomits a bunch of stomach acid all over all your dudes, right?
Which I haven't decided yet. I mean, is that killing them? Because we don't see anybody like standing there going, "Ah!" It just kind of.
And it seems like it only hits sand people too, but like. I don't know, man. I think it digests them. I think it's like some nasty acid.
Yeah, it's almost like xenomorph type stuff, right?
Well,
from Alien.
And, true to its name being a dragon, it's got to have some kind of a breath weapon, right? It's not fire, but it's this like because it's an underground worm like thing. It just kind of vomits this acid
toxic
all over
waste.
Big groups of people. Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. it's really dang awesome.
Yeah, it
as a matter of fact. So their plan of blowing it up underneath doesn't really work. So they have to come up with another plan, and that's where Mando's like, "Hey, you and me, we're gonna fly up here and we're gonna just start shooting this thing in the face."
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're like, you know what? We got jetpacks.
Yeah.
And
so
if you got a jetpack, you got to use that thing.
That's right. So they go up there and they start trying to blast it, and I keep thinking, oh, one of them's going to hit them in the eye. Maybe they blind it, and then it's more fair game. But no, they're even though they're supposed to be great shots, we don't shoot them in the eye. So,
yeah,
more vomiting, more people disintegrating, all that's going on.
And is this where Mando gets the idea? Is this about this point?
Yeah.
Because it's looking pretty hopeless at this point. You know, you're basically going to lose all the villagers and all the sand people because this crate dragon ain't going down.
Yeah.
So Mando's
and
like, I've got it.
I've got a plan. So he goes down and he basically pulls a Sheriff Brody on him here, right? Except it's a little more extreme. Instead of it being a fire extinguisher that you put in the shark's mouth and shoot it, he lets the dragon eat him and a bantha that's got all the bombs on it, and waits till it gets far enough away, and then boom, blows it up.
Yeah. And I forget, I don't know what he does, but whatever he does makes it bust up out of the ground and open its mouth so he can fly out first, because otherwise, you know, he'd be blowing himself up.
Right.
And, you know, and then he, boom, he blows it up, and here we are, the end of Dragon's Lair, right?
Right. And then, you know, you got your Tusken Raiders down there cutting up the meat, looking around through there, and you're like, okay, they're going to, you know, take this meat and live off of it for years and years and years. And then you see one of them reach down and pull up a
sand kebabs.
Yeah. And then one of them reaches down and pulls up a great big pearl, and they all start celebrating.
Yeah, you know,
so
that's another thing that this whole, you know, Easter egg thing I saw said, you know, there was a crate pearl, which apparently shows up in Mythos several places. And I think I've read the book that he referenced, but I don't remember the crate pearl. Apparently Han Solo uses one as a buy-in for a Sabacc game or something. But cool, that's cool. You know, again, the people who make this movie know more about Star Wars than me.
Right. I think they actually use it, too, to make lightsabers, too. I think that's one of the things is it's used for creating those as well. So it's pretty valuable.
Well, they use a focusing crystal. What's the crystals have a name, too. A Kyber crystal? To make I think it's a Kyber crystal they use to make I'm sure somebody will come on and be like, no, it wasn't. I don't know. We don't have fans like that, really. And if we did, I wouldn't be offended. If you want to correct me, I'm cool with that. But I know that there's a cool, like in the animated Clone Wars stuff, those 5 to 15-minute episodes that Genndy Tartakovsky did. There's a whole thing about a Kyber crystal mine that is the place of a battle in the Clone Wars. It's pretty cool.
I don't know about anything about any of that. All I know is that Mando jumped down this creature's throat, blew up a bantha, and come flying out. That's all you need to know.
I'm going to say it right now, that if you did make a lightsaber out of a damn crate dragon pearl, like, I don't know if it would be like a drippy acid kind of lightsaber that would sear through stuff, or if it would have a big old mouth or what, but it would be pretty boss. If you had a crate dragon pearl lightsaber, I'd be scared of you.
It'd be a little inconvenient to carry around if you just kept the whole pearl mounted on one of those, you know, light flashlight handles.
Yeah, but that's why you would be a badass, man. You'd be hefting this thing around. You don't even have to turn it on; just clonk people with it.
You hit them over the head.
Clonk. Crate dragon, Darth Crate.
Darth Crate. And then after this, we get the celebration, and then the town people. First, you don't like the sand people, then you get together, and then you're friends.
You're friends. Yep.
It's definitely got a Three Amigos vibe to it for sure, right? I mean, Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, Three Amigos. It's all the same.
Yeah, and then Cobb gives him the armor. He's like, "Hey, you earned it."
Yep.
You know.
That's right.
And
he starts
just
heading
like
out
Jack
of town.
Burton, he's like, "Yeah, I did."
Are you going to kiss him? And he goes, "No."
But maybe later in the series. Who knows?
Maybe later on. And then Mando drives off on the speeder. He's got the little tyke with him. And then we see a figure standing up on a hill, watching everything that's going on. And he kind of turns around and you get a quick glimpse of who it's supposed to be. Who's that supposed to be, Danny?
Well, I think it's Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's the word that's going around. Boba Fett survived, which we've always kind of heard the legend of that anyways. But supposedly he's looking for his armor. Don't you think it would be like where he was at last? I'm just saying.
You may have a point. But, I think that, I think that the whole thing is that people have been excited about this character, myself included, since he first graced the screen. And for that reason, they want to make sure that they give people what they want. That's one of the reasons why this show is so popular. It's found a way to give people what they want without spoon-feeding it to them in a way that's, that's entirely too, I don't know, childish. They give you all the things you're looking for in a way that seems appropriate and well thought out, as opposed to just kind of sticking stuff in because they're like, well, people are going to want a bunch of references. It really seems well thought out, and it seems like a project of love.
Right. And I say 80% chance this is who it is. But I still think there's a chance it could be a curveball they throw it. I mean, they do have Timuro Morrison playing the part too. So I mean, it's Jango Fett, which if you know the story, Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett. So that all ties into it really nice and tight. But there's always a chance they can throw you a curveball with this. So, but I would say that's mainly what it's looking like, and that's the hype that's going around, which is super exciting for us Star Wars fans, because we can only hope for a Boba Fett and Mando either fight against each other or teaming up and fighting against some people or whatever. Yeah, that's the dream, right?
Well, and people have already gone on to the site for the show and seen where he's listed as Boba Fett. So
right.
There's no hiding that stuff from anybody anymore in this day and age.
And supposedly, there is rumors going around too that there is a set series. There's been some rights that have recently been written up, copyright stuff for Boba Fett logo and all this kind of stuff. So we may be heading down that track. We can only hope. Yeah,
I love it. I think it bodes well, and I trust the writers to put this together in a way that doesn't seem hokey. And I think that's part of what's been going on is in the attempt to please the fan base. The stories all seem kind of hokey.
It's I don't know. It feels like we're finally getting some things that we've been waiting for, and that's where they've done such a great job with this, is really giving the fans that stuff that we've been missing from the original series for so long. So it's just done so well. It's fantastic. So that's the episode 1 of season 2.
Is the Marshal.
The Marshal, yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm really digging it. I'm really enjoying it.
Me too, man. I mean, and I hope everybody out there who's listening enjoys it as well. I mean, we just walked through it step by step, and I hope that we were able to kind of give you some stuff you didn't know about. But ultimately, man, if you like our show and you like the same stuff we do, then check it out. And then listen to the episode after you watch it, because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody.
Right. So, again, we want it to be kind of a conversation piece that goes along for the people that are watching the show. And that way you can tell us, hey, what about this? You left out this, or y'all did a good job on this, or y'all suck at that. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? And also, as a bonus,
it's for the people.
It's for the people, by the people. And I helped. As a bonus, because, normally on Helming we do where we ask Brian Blessed what he thinks about the episodes. We have a special guest. Also special guest.
And also
names up there on the marquee. Oh. we've got Boba Fett, and we're going to ask him, Boba Fett, what did you think about episode 8, The Marshal?
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
So there you go. Literally, I just hit a button. I didn't know what it was going to say.
Boba Fett does not talk to Rick.
He's no good to me, deaf.
I saw where somebody say, well, a blind dude with a stick, beat him. So, it's kind of harsh.
Boba Fett? Where?
That blind dude was Han Solo, though.
Yes, it was. It was. All right, folks. I believe that's going to do it for this episode. Let us know what you think. We're going to plan on trying to crank these out as often as the episodes come out. And I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You got anything you want to add?
I thought you were talking to the listener, and you were saying, do you have anything you want to add? Let us know. I didn't know you were talking to me. But absolutely, I just want to say that I'm enjoying the show, and I love having you guys out there to listen to it. I know we're all on the same page, and thanks for listening.
All right. We will talk to you guys later. Adios.